As I reluctantly begin episode 222, I need to share that I just spent like 45 minutes preparing this whole podcast episode on toxic gratitude. How there are times when gratitude isn't necessarily healthy or the right way to feel or the requirement for health and happiness. And I was just feeling crabby and ungrateful, right? Completely forgetting that the episode you heard last week was basically about not feeling grateful, and that I thought two episodes in a row talking about toxic levels of gratitude might be an off-putting path to follow. So as I sit here, the Sunday before Thanksgiving, I was just sitting around actually last night trying to think about what to talk about for spilling the tea. I don't like to start a new podcast season at the end of the calendar year. Don't ask me why. Fresh starts January, yada, 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 blah, blah, blah. So I thought, I know what I'll do in terms of spilling the tea. I'll answer a bunch of random questions, honestly, from the computer. And so I looked up questions for a first date, and those are boring. Questions for a job interview, equally boring. So then I thought back to a time when two games came to mind. Would You Rather and Never Have I Ever. Never Have I Ever can be a drinking game where somebody says, never have I ever, swallowed a piece of glass. And if you have not swallowed the piece of glass, you drink. Like if you've never done it. If you have done it, you don't drink. And then you tell the story about when you did it, right? But also, would you rather? And when I think of would you rather, I think back to a time I was teaching health, and Adam Osborne was the assistant principal at Concord High back then. And he came in to observe me. He often observed me. And always when he observed me, something happened. One time, I just found out that my neighbor had died. So I'm in tears as I start my class. Another time, it was freshman health, and we were starting the reproductive health unit. And this was a man that blushed at the word booger. Like he was just tender like that. So I'm about to start, and I cannot remember this boy's name, but he was to my left. And he says to me, wait, I have a question. So I said, okay, what is it? Not knowing what it would be. And he said, would you rather have teeth for pubic hair or pubic hair for teeth? So rather than chastise him, I said, okay, everyone, close your eyes. And I had them do it. Raise your hand if you would rather have pubic hair for teeth. So some kids raised their hand, not too many. And I said, now raise your hand if you'd rather have teeth for pubic hair. So pretty much everyone raised their hands. And then we had a conversation about dominance and sexual relationships between penis-bodied people and vagina-bodied people, and how the girls in the class were very much like, yeah, if my vagina could bite, I could keep myself safe, right? That was sort of the gist of the reason for having teeth for pubic hair. Of course, I didn't always picture a functioning jaw. I just pictured all these random teeth like sticking out of my skin. I don't know. At any rate, it was hilarious. And when I got written up, when I had my meeting with my supervisor, with Mr. Osborne, what he liked was the fact that I just went with it, that I kept it in the realm of as appropriate as you can be, talking about pubic hair in your mouth or teeth in your crotch. But it was just an interesting sort of funny experience. So would you rather have the ability to see 10 minutes into the future or 150 years into the future? And quite honestly, I think I would prefer to see 150 years into the future. 10 minutes would now just upset the apple cart on what I'm going to do, or it would tell me nothing. And then how would I know for sure that that was going to happen in 10 minutes? Because now that I know, I can adapt and change. And I think back to the movie Back to the Future, when you have to be careful when you go back not to alter what happens next. And then, of course, the time continuum becomes this big scribble, and things have already happened that haven't happened that will happen. Anyway, number 2, would you rather have telekinesis, the ability to move things with your mind, or telepathy, the ability to read people's minds? And I think I would prefer the ability to move things, primarily because I don't know that I want to clutter myself with the thoughts of others. A guy I used to work with, Steve Rothenberg, he had little sayings often, and one of his was, there's a word called thoughts. It's a word for a reason. Keep those things in your head, because I'm one of those people that often says too much. So I don't think I'd want to know what people were thinking about anything. Would you rather be forced to sing along or dance to every single song you hear? I think I'll pick dance. I mean, I suppose if I'm driving on the highway, how do I dance to a song that comes on? But if I had to choose one or the other, I love singing along, not to every song, I don't think. So I think dance would make me feel good about moving. Would you rather be in jail for 5 years or be in a coma for a decade? As horrible as this might sound, I think I would prefer to be in jail for 5 years because you're interacting. I could still maintain relationships with people in my life via the telephone and mail. I'd meet interesting people for sure. Maybe horrible, scary things would happen to me, but horrible, scary things have already happened to me, and I don't think that would bother me too much. Being in a coma would just put a lot of stress on people in my life, and I would find it hard to wake up just so out of sorts. Would you rather be chronically underdressed or overdressed? Okay, I would rather be chronically underdressed. I don't want to be pretentious. I'd rather show up at a black tie event with a blue tie. I don't know. I think I'd rather be chronically underdressed. I'd be more comfortable. You can always add sparkle to something, right? You can't unfancy a tuxedo. So I think I would stay underdressed. Would you rather lose your sight or your memories? So I think I'd rather lose my sight. As much as I love looking at things and being able to see and be independent, I wouldn't want to lose my memories because then I would have no idea how I fit into anything. I wouldn't remember Molly anymore. Yeah, I'd rather be blind with my cognition fully intact. Would you rather have universal respect or unlimited power? So this is sort of a no-brainer because unlimited power, in my mind, reeks of evil. And I would like to think that if I had unlimited power, I could only affect good in the world. But it's my opinion of good. So which means I would use that power to hurt people inadvertently. So I think I would rather have universal respect. I would rather that people respected me for what I thought and felt and how I behaved, as opposed to having all sorts of power, which is why I'm not good in politics. I don't believe that I'm supposed to convince people to agree with me. So here's a good one. Would you rather give up air conditioning and heating for the rest of your life or give up the internet for the rest of your life? So quite honestly, I've lived a whole bunch of my life without the internet and I don't like being reliant on it, but without the internet is the way everything is done now. You can't schedule a doctor's appointment in person anymore. You have to go online and sign up on a portal and everything else. I think I would say I would give up air conditioning and heat, primarily because I can build a fire. I can go live in San Diego where it's basically the same temperature 12 months a year, and I could jump in the water or sit under a tree if I were too hot, and I could put a jacket on if I were cold. So I would give up the heat and the air conditioning. Would you rather never be able to go out in the day or never be able to go out at night? I would prefer to never be able to go out at night. Logical reasons, as a female-bodied human, it's not as safe for women than as it is for men sometimes at night. And I don't think I could live without the warm sun on my face for any length of time. So I would choose to stay in at night. Would you rather have a personal maid or a personal chef? Oh, a personal chef by all means. I get great pleasure out of folding clothes and vacuuming and doing things that you can see your progress. I get no pleasure out of preparing food whatsoever. I will take a chef in a hot minute. Would you rather be an extra in an Oscar-winning movie or the lead in a box office bomb? Oh my God, give me the lead in the crappy movie in a heartbeat. I think of The Big Bang Theory and Penny. She was in that gorilla movie where she has to wear a bathing suit and she turns into a gorilla. Anyway, I'd rather have the lead and just put it out there and do the best I can and have everyone hate it than just be an invisible extra in a fantastic movie. Having said that, I think the process of being in a movie that's Oscar worthy would be an incredible learning experience. But with my little ego comes to mind, I'm happy to be the lead in a box office bomb. Shawshank was a box office bomb, and look at that movie now. Would you rather communicate only in emoji or never be able to text at all ever again? I'd choose emoji just because if I had a big message I could email to somebody. If the only way I could text somebody was to emoji them, fine. I also could live without texting because, again, I can leave a voicemail, I can leave a Voxer. I don't need to text. So I'm 50-50 on that one. Would you rather wear the same socks for a month or the same underwear for a week? Sometimes I do both of those things. So I don't know. I suppose the socks because, they're in your shoes. As long as I can take them off when I go to bed, I'm good with putting them back on 30 times. Would you rather have a sing-off? A sing-off? No, thank you. Okay, so I'm not gonna have a sing-off with anybody, but it wants to know if I would rather have a sing-off with Ariana Grande or with Rihanna. I would pick Ariana Grande primarily because Molly loved Ariana Grande, and she does a really good rendition of Because I Knew You. So I would choose Ariana. Would you rather spend a week in the forest, like alone by yourself, or a night in a real haunted house? Oh, well, I wouldn't want to be alone in either place, quite honestly. But if I had a tent and food and gear, I'd spend a week in the forest, hike around. I don't know that I'd want to spend a night in a haunted house. That would scare the crap out of me. If I could have a bunch of people with me, sure. Would you rather have a child every year for 20 years or never have any children at all? I'd have a child a year. I mean, that's a long 20 years, but now that I know how fast time goes by, that would be fun, but I wouldn't want to never have kids. Although, having said that now, see, this is what these things make you think. If I could never have my own children, I could adopt children, foster children, be the best auntie ever. So, maybe I would choose never have children and then just take care of other people's children. Isn't that funny? Oh, this is a good one. Would you rather be gassy on a first date or your wedding night? By far my wedding night. Are you kidding me? We've already farted in front of each other by then. You know, if my husband can't handle my farts, he wouldn't have proposed, is how I feel about that. Yeah, I wouldn't want to be gassy on a first date. Although if you were, then you still get a second date, that dude's a keeper. Would you rather hunt and butcher your own meat or never eat meat again? I think I would choose never eat meat again. I don't like to cook. I'm not going to like shooting a deer and hacking it up and harvesting all the meat and then preparing it. No thanks. I'll just become a vegetarian. Not a problem. I'll eat a lot of legumes. I do not want to hunt my own food. Would you rather have people spread a terrible lie about you or have people spread terrible but true tales about you? You know what? I'd rather people talk about things I actually did. I have lived in under the umbrella of and under the cloud of people saying things about me that aren't true, and that just irritates me. If you're going to think something bad of me, find out if I really did it or not. And if I did, then go ahead and feel bad about me. So I would much rather have the true tales of Barbara Higgins shared as opposed to lies made up about Barbara Higgins shared. That was a Robin reality for me. And that was a Concord School District reality for me. And that was the Bow High School reality for me. And that was a Roy reality for me. Horrible things said about me that aren't even close to the truth. That infuriates me. All in all, I shouldn't care what people think of me at all, but if you're going to hate me because I've earned it and actually done the thing that offends you. Would you rather be the absolute best at something that no one takes seriously or be average at something well respected? So here's how I feel about that question. I think I would choose the first one. I would rather be the absolute best at something that no one takes seriously because quite honestly, you can always find somebody that will agree that something is really cool, even if most of the world doesn't. And you're putting all of your self-worth on the opinion of someone else. So I don't care if people don't take it seriously. If I take it seriously and I'm the best at it, then I feel really good about that. And I think sometimes, I've been really good at running. I've been really good at CrossFit. Some people think both of those things are a waste of time. So I think I would just like to be the best at something I think is important. Would you rather travel the world for free for a year or have $50,000 to spend however you please? That's a no-brainer. Travel the world free for a year. Absolutely. I am incredibly lucky and I have a lot of gratitude for my legs and my feet because I have traveled so many places free of charge because of my running. Most of the states that I've been to, I was in those states with either my college running teams or Nike, or I was at a USA track and field convention, and those trips cost me nothing. I went to Switzerland twice for free. I went across the eastern half of Canada for free one summer. Yeah, I'll tell you right now, I would travel for free for a year. Absolutely. I think most people would answer that. Would you rather have a mullet for a year or be bald for 6 months? Oh, I'll go with bald. And here's why. When I had to shave my head after half my head was shaved, getting my brain tumors taken out, a warm shower on a bald head is the most amazing feeling ever in the history of amazing feelings. So I would absolutely choose bald and no prep time. Yeah, I would choose bald. Easy cheesy, sis boom beezy. Okay, this is a no-brainer for me having lost Molly. Would you rather go back to the past to meet your loved ones who passed away or go to the future to meet your children or grandchildren to be? I would love to meet all the relatives I never met. I'd love to reconnect with people who have died. I would absolutely go back. Would you rather stay the age you are physically forever or stay the way you are financially forever? I would pick financially just because in spite of how I got the money, suing the hospital and having a bit of a lawsuit settlement has provided for us well. Not that I manage the money well, I've given tons of it away. I have a lot of freedom in my life to do a lot of things. And so I think I would love to have this much cushion for the rest of my life. I'm trying to make it that way. Would you rather give up your cell phone for a month or bathing for a month? Oh, honey, I'll give up bathing. I'll tell you what. You don't need to stand near me, but I would absolutely not give up my cell phone for a month. And the main reason there is that we live in a cell phone world now, so there would be no way to communicate. Yeah, I could use a landline, but I don't know. Yeah, I think I would give up bathing. Would you rather change the outcome of the last election or get to decide the outcome of the next election? I would choose the next election. I think not that at all. I didn't feel good about either candidate last time. I tend to be sort of moderate. I have some liberal and some conservative views, but I didn't care for either side necessarily. Not the people. Well, let me be clear. I just didn't care for either side. So I would rather get to have a say in who's next as opposed to going back and repairing something that can't happen. Would you rather lose the ability to read or lose the ability to speak? I think read because I could listen to books on tape, Audible. I don't think it would be fun not to be able to read, but somebody could read to me. If you can't speak, I mean, sign language and there's other things. I just think for me, I think I could manage without reading things far better than I could manage without being able to speak. Wow, yeah, that's a pondering one. Huh. I hope you guys are all answering these too as I go along. Would you rather be beautiful and stupid or unattractive but a genius? Well, okay, that's so subjective. Like, what is stupid and what is a genius? There's so many different ways to measure that and what's beautiful and what's ugly. But I would much rather have brains over beauty, which is kind of how my life has been. I've never been a really beautiful person, physically speaking. I have a very strong face. I would rather have brains in my head than just a pretty face, right? This is a great one. Would you rather always be stuck in traffic but find the perfect parking spot or never hit traffic but take forever to park? I'll choose the parking spot. Traffic in my mind is the universe's gift of giving me more alone time because when I'm in my car, no one can bother me. So if I knew the traffic was going to be bad, I'd make time for it. If I knew it was normally an hour's drive, but I'm always going to hit traffic, I'd leave 2 hours early. I could listen to podcasts and things, talk on the phone. And then when I get to where I'm going, boom, there's my parking spot right in front of where I want to be. Yeah, that was easy cheesy for me. Would you rather go on tour with Elton John or Cher? Wow. I think I'm going to choose Cher just because, woman power. Let's go Cher. Like as a child, she was much more of an icon to me than Elton John. My brother Rick loved Elton John, and I do love his music, but I would absolutely go on tour with Cher. I think that would likely be really, really fun. She's amazing. Would you rather win the lottery and have to spend it all in one day or triple your current salary forever? If we use my structured settlement as my salary, I would choose to triple that forever. I don't work very much, so my current salary is minimal. So I triple my current income forever. I would do that. If I won the lottery and it was like, $10 billion, what I would do is buy a lot of things that I could then sell. I'd spend it all in a day and I'd sponsor things and build things. Would you rather hear a comforting lie or an uncomfortable truth? Quite honestly, an uncomfortable truth. My life has been so up and down and so traumatic that I just want to have a sense of what's going on. Whoa. Would you rather someone see all the photos in your phone or read all your text messages? I'll choose photos. The handful of bad photos I have are fine. I don't care. Anyway, I don't care. I have nothing to hide that way. My text messages? No thanks. I'll keep those private. Ooh, would you rather celebrate the 4th of July with Taylor Swift or Christmas Eve with Mariah Carey? Well, ideally, Christmas Eve with Taylor Swift, but I'll choose Swiftie. I'll choose Taylor. I love Mariah Carey, but I don't know. I have some neat connections to Taylor Swift. First of all, when I first heard of who she was, I was still coaching and teaching at Concord High School, and Sky, who owns White Mountain CrossFit now, she made me all these CDs of Taylor Swift. And so I always think back to those coaching years as really good, the early 2000s. And then Molly and Gracie loved Taylor Swift, and I've seen her in concert a gazillion times. And my sister Martha's first husband is Taylor Swift's cousin or uncle. So I have pictures of my nephews sitting on Taylor Swift's lap, like at Christmas. I'm not blood related. I'm not even related by marriage anymore, but I was. So that's kind of neat. That's a neat little connection. Would you rather live a peaceful life in a small cabin in the woods or a drama-filled life in a mansion in a big city? I mean, the youthful, I'm not ready to wait to die part of me would choose the city and the drama and the excitement and everything that was going on. I could always travel to the country on the weekends. So I'm going to choose big mansion in the city. Ooh, would you rather be invisible or be able to fly? Well, if this was like for the rest of my life, like I choose it and it's permanent, I would choose being able to fly because being invisible would utterly alter every moment of every day. So I would choose being able to fly. Would you rather start a colony on another planet or be the leader of a country on Earth? I would like to lead a country on Earth. Maybe. I say that. knowing how exhausting that could be. Heck, I can't even get 8 people to vote me school board president. So I don't think anyone thinks I could lead anything, but I would lead a country. That would be fun. Would you rather go back to kindergarten with everything that you now know? Or would you rather know right now everything your future self will learn? Wow. Well, the part of me that wants to change, like Molly being dead and me being abused and losing my job and choosing Roy, and I look at all the mistakes I make and I think if I were 5 and I had the knowledge of what was to come, that I could avert those things. That's that part of me. But then I would get to here and I wouldn't be who I am. So maybe I wouldn't have Gracie and Molly and Jack and baby Gordy and Kenny and all those things. And then if I had knowledge now of my future, I think I would choose knowledge now. I think I could put into action now things. I don't know. That could be a whole podcast episode. I always go back to the future though. Just where you look back and you see how things became the way they were, or why you are the way you are now. And there's a lot of okayness in that. This is where we get back into gratitude too. Like I like who I am and I like that I'm strong. So I'm not one of those people like, I wouldn't change a thing because they made me who I am today. I would love to not be sexually abused. Are you kidding me? I don't care if it made me strong. There are plenty other ways I could be strong. I could have not had that happen to me and still be plenty strong. I get really triggered by those kinds of comments, like the silver linings playbook, like I'm supposed to find gratitude or positive things in every bad, horrible thing that happens. No, no, no. I think sometimes things are just bad and I don't have to freaking learn anything from it, which is me like right now in my anti-gratitude 30 days of not thanks in November for Barb right now. So I think I would rather know now what the next 30 years are. I'd rather be able to apply. If I know that this is going to happen, I'd rather know so I could divert it or be ready for it. I don't know. Would you rather be able to read minds or predict the future? Again, I'd rather predict the future. I don't want to know what people are thinking. That would be too much. Ooh, would you rather be an unknown superhero or an infamous villain? I remember Molly was really mad once in the back of the car and she goes, "What am I, a villain?" So every time I hear that word, I think of Molly having a meltdown in the backseat of the car. I'd rather be an unknown superhero. My friend Brian just died and I wrote his obituary. And the last sentence of it is what I had put in a post about him, which was, there are many famous people in the world and many quiet heroes. And Brian was a quiet hero. And I think I would rather be that. The people who knew me and loved me know my superhero status, but I don't have to be famous. Would you rather have a third ear or a third eye? So if it's a literal thing, like I have 2 ears over here and one over here, or 3 eyes across my face, I guess I would choose ear because I could hide it with hair. Having said that, if it's more literal, like figurative, like an increased sense of hearing or an increased ability to see, I might take a third eye because the third eye is like your intuition, and that's a good one. Would you rather wake up naked in a forest 5 miles from home or in your underwear at work? I'd rather wake up in my underwear at work. And here's why. I work at a CrossFit gym, so sometimes all you're wearing is the equivalent of underwear. But I used to have nightmares as a child that I would get to school and I would take off my coat and I would only have my underwear on, and I'd wake up and I'd be horrified by this. Like, oh my God, I forgot to get dressed. I'm just wearing underwear. So even though that was like my stress dream, given how I look naked now, I think I'd rather wake up in my underwear at work. Plus, naked in a forest, I'd feel a little vulnerable. Snakes and bugs and things getting into my parts would make me freaky. So I think I'd rather wake up in my underwear at work, for sure. Would you rather be reincarnated as a fly or just stop existing when you die? I would want to be reincarnated as anything. I don't believe that you just stop existing when you die. Your energy continues. So it's kind of a silly question, but I'll come back as a fly. I'll get really adept at not getting swatted. I'll leave people alone. I'll fly all around, look at stuff. This is a great one. Would you rather be unable to close any door once it's open or be unable to open any door once it's closed? I would rather not be able to close a door. I would rather have all open doors around me than be surrounded by doors that I can no longer open. I would find that hard. That's my claustrophobia coming in. I would want to never be able to close a door. Ooh, would you rather work alongside Dwight Schrute or Homer Simpson? So Dwight Schrute was from The Office. He's played by Rainn Wilson, who belongs to my religion. He's a Baha'i, a member of the Baha'i faith. That aside, I just love Dwight Schrute's character on The Office. He's hilarious. I would rather work with him than Homer Simpson. I mean, Homer Simpson's fun to laugh at and watch, but I wouldn't want to jump into that cartoon. Would you rather be punished for a crime you didn't commit or have someone else take credit for one of your major accomplishments? That's a hard one. I don't like being accused of things I didn't do. However, if I worked really hard and accomplished something and somebody else got the credit for it, I think I would maybe take the punishment. I could learn from the punishment, that whole gratitude thing again, but it would be very hard for me, ego-wise, to give up that. Would you rather have Celine Dion or Eminem perform the soundtrack to your life? You know what? I'm going to choose Eminem, quite frankly. I have fond memories of him because he became popular when I was teaching elementary school. I like a lot of how he sang. And I mean, Celine's fine, but no, I think Eminem, nobody would expect it. So the soundtrack would be amazing. Would you rather bathe in dishwater or wash dishes in your bath water? As long as I can take my bath first, I'll wash my dishes in the tub any day. We had to do that when our kitchen was being done. Yeah, that was interesting. Would you rather have your own theme park or your own zoo? Ah, well, I'm going to say theme park because I'm not sure animals should live in zoos. And there could be some really good rides at my theme park. There would be a ton of roller coasters. So I think I'd have my own theme park. Would you rather know when you're going to die or how you're going to die? Quite honestly, I don't want to know either. Your whole life would be a countdown to the day that you're going to die. And then if you know how you're going to die, if it's horribly disgusting and terrifying, I pass. Pass. Would you rather live in a home with no electricity or in a home with no running water? I would choose no running water because you can go to a well and get water, fill buckets and things like this. You can go to the Y and take a shower. But electricity, that's everything you do, cooking and your food being cold and all that kind of stuff. I can wash my clothes and go to a laundromat and wash my clothes. Yeah, I would much rather not have running water. Would you rather have tea with Queen Elizabeth, who's no longer with us, or a beer with Prince Harry? I'd choose a beer with Prince Harry in a heartbeat. I read his book, which I really liked. I would have a lot more to talk about. Although then I go back and say maybe not, because Queen Elizabeth has lived this incredible life. She would have lots to share. Talk about, she was a life of sacrifice. I mean, privileged, wealthy sacrifice, but sacrifice nonetheless. Would you rather be forced to live the same day over and over again for a year or take 3 years off the end of your life? Depends on the day. If it were a good day, then I would live it over and over again for a year, learn from it, predict what's happening next. And then it's easy to say, oh, I'll take 3 years off the end of my life because I think like that's 30 years away. But what if I'm only going to live one more year? Then I'd die immediately. So I think I'd live the same day over and over again. Those were the kinds of questions, the would you rather questions. And when I was answering them and when I was pondering this episode, I hope it wasn't too boring to listen to me go through a list. But really what I found out about myself, and this is what's great about podcasting, it's what's great about just self-analysis. It's what's great about wanting to spill the tea and share all the details of your life, is really ultimately, at the end of the day, I think the most important thing is balance. It isn't what you believe. It isn't even how you believe. It's how you live and practice what you believe, that you have moderation and balance. And so when I look at these questions, I feel like sometimes I choose the one that will make me happy immediately, and sometimes I choose the one that's better in the long term. Maybe my ego dictates that I'd like to be the star of a crappy movie because I get to be the star. But I'm also willing to be punished for a crime I didn't commit rather than have someone take my accolades away. So where does my ego come in? Do I want all the fame and glory for myself, or am I willing to, take the hit once in a while? I don't know. It's interesting. And I think sometimes that's sort of the purpose of all of this. Quite honestly, right now, I've had a really, really sort of crappy few months. And when I was reading all these articles on toxic gratitude and how do you know when gratitude is toxic, there's a lot out there that talks about toxic gratitude. And the biggest thing for me, I think, and these little fun games sort of take my mind off what's going on and allow me to laugh and think about things in a different way. But I know that for me, I have a really hard time when people tell me, well, don't be sad. Think of the happy memories when I talk about Molly, or, well, you have so much to be grateful for. It's okay to be sad, but don't forget. And sometimes I think we push gratitude on people when what they really need is permission to just feel ungrateful for a few minutes. Because I know for me, when I really wallow in the anger and the resentment and the unhappy part of my life, I end up coming to the gratitude on my own. I end up getting through the resentment and getting through where I'm feeling angry about things. Somebody trying to push me through that isn't helpful. One of the things I loved most about AA and any 12-step sort of process of recovery is the gratitude piece, that, have an attitude of gratitude. So it doesn't even mean sometimes that you have to be grateful for anything you can name. just function with an attitude of gratitude, understanding that the fact that you can even decide to be ungrateful is a gift. It's like the very flag that we revere gives us permission to burn it. So, it's like that in my mind. So we're heading into December now. We'll get into Christmas. Well, my family will likely be spending Christmas here, which I have mixed emotions about. With Gracie heading off to France in a couple of months, we'll be here. And so I'm all over the place with gratitude and resentments and anger and feeling upset about things. I've been in a spiral, quite honestly, really, really anxious all the time. So do me a favor, send me some would you rathers, or in today's email, I'll talk like it's today when you're listening to this, answer the quiz questions or share a would you rather with me. Hit reply and send me a would you rather, because I would love to add to my big giant list of would you rathers. It would make me happy. Be good to yourself. Try to have gratitude in your heart, but when you can, don't be hard on yourself. Be good to yourself. Look in the mirror and say, it's okay to be pissed off right now, because it is. Be good to someone else. After you've taken a big breath and worked through your own gratitude issues, help someone else do the same or allow them to be pissed off. And as always, have a good day, everybody. Hey, thanks for listening and supporting the podcast. Feel free to leave a review and share my stories with your friends. Please reach out with your own stories, as I love connecting with my listeners. If you would like to get to know Molly, head over to mollybfoundation.org to see what she is all about. If you want to see what I'm up to next, you can find me on Instagram at barb_444, on Facebook as Barb Higgins, and at my website, 1000tinysteps.com. And while you're there, sign up for my newsletter, a weekly way to find out what's up in the life of Barb Higgins.